righty, good morning. Welcome to another day of morning wisdom. We are in Proverbs chapter 4. Hope you're having a great morning. And don't forget, these shirts are on sale at our website, promisekeepers.prg. Get yourself some merch. We've also got hoodies and long sleeve shirts now. It's getting cold out there, so you guys stay warm. It's a great gift for the man in your life, your son, your brother, your dad, your father, your husband, whoever, your best friend. They won't be upset. You gift them a cool shirt, a cool hoodie, something like that, a hat. So check that out. I always forget to push our merch, so I want to do that. Hey, we're in Proverbs chapter 4, and I want to focus on verse 23 this morning. It says, keep your heart with all diligence. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Jesus talked about how it's not what goes in the mouth that defiles you, right? You'll know because it's what's coming out of your heart. And this says to keep your heart with all diligence. So my question this morning is, are you practicing wisdom by protecting your heart? And the way that you protect your heart, the way that you protect your mind, and I believe these two go hand in hand, because when we look at Philippians 4, 6 through 9, one of my favorite passages in the Bible, it talks about how to have the peace of God guard your heart and mind. It doesn't just say heart or mind, it says both. I believe they work together. And when it says to keep your heart with all diligence, I think about the verse of taking every thought captive that exalts itself against the knowledge of Christ and make it obedient to him. You know, I think about what we allow into our eye gate and our ear gate. Are you keeping your heart? Or are you, now maybe you're not doing evil, right? You're not like perverting your heart intentionally. You're not seeking evil things. You're not intentionally watching things that are explicit or, openly perverse. But a lot of people might fall in that middle ground of, I'm not keeping it diligently. I'm just kind of loose with it. Like, I'm not very strict. I'm casual with it. I'm too relaxed. I know a lot of people that they'll just watch lots of worldly shows, listen to lots of worldly music, or, listen to worldly podcasts that are just full of gossip and drama, and just the content it's suggestive, it's perversion. And when you do that over time, you are graying yourself out. You're numbing yourself to, perversion. If you're constantly exposing yourself to it, you're numbing yourself to it instead of remaining tender towards it. And I just want to ask you to reflect and examine yourself this morning and be honest and say, am I keeping my heart diligently? Because what you will find over time is that when you don't, it says here, out of it spring the issues of life. How many of you have been in a season where some behaviors or some patterns, some ways of thinking, some impulses began to spring up out of you that you did not like? And when you reflected, or hopefully you did, you look back and you could see where there was an open door. That's what we say in the charismatic world. There's an open door. You opened a door through fill in the blank. Maybe you like to watch horror movies, and then down the road you begin to deal with fear. Maybe not about the content of the horror movie, but just fear in general, because you allowed what some people might call a spirit of fear. You've partnered with it, and now it's owning you. Maybe it's perversion. You think that it's okay to watch things that have maybe sex scenes or nudity or whatever else, and then down the road you find yourself having these like perverse thoughts. Maybe they're wanted, maybe they're not wanted. Either way, it's a problem. And you go, man, I did this to myself. I did not keep my heart diligently. This is something that we have to be intentional about every day. I see the comments, people are saying, yes, I've been there. So here's the wisdom. Let's not do that anymore. let's not have these self-inflicted wounds where we're doing things that are going to hurt us in the long run. And this is the wisdom, because when you're watching, say I remember the Lord told me back in like 2018 not to watch The Office anymore. And that was my favorite show for like 15 years or however many years it had been out. I loved it, man. I had watched every episode. I knew so many lines by heart. But I just remember the Lord provoking me because there was a sexually charged joke, like a "that's what she said" joke. That seems totally harmless. People say it in the church. I mean, it seemed like no big deal. And I felt like the Lord prompted me. I'm not speaking this as a law over anyone, but he prompted me and he said, "Do you think I'm laughing at that?" And I was like, oh my gosh, like I am laughing at a sexually charged joke. This is crazy. It's like my eyes got opened. And from that moment forward, I realized that, one, if I choose to continue to watch that, I would be in disobedience to God because of my own personal conviction. But two, if I continue to watch this, let alone laugh at the jokes, I am desensitizing myself even around sexual humor. I don't want to be friendly with perversion. I want to be tender towards it. I want to be sensitive towards sin. I don't want to, I want to look at it like a venomous snake. I don't want to be okay with being close to it. I want to be far. I don't want to figure out how close I can get before I get bit. If you try to figure that out, you are going to get bit. Just stay away, run away, flee. That's wisdom. And so to apply it this morning is to go beyond just maybe a TV show. My wife stopped watching Friends because while it wasn't explicit or anything, Friends was on daytime television. When we began to listen to the content and look at the content of the show, it's like, man, these people they're constantly just dating and they're sleeping around with each other and they're doing all these things and the jokes are crude and perverse, and that's just not who we are. So probably 6-7 years ago, she stopped watching Friends. And we're happier now because we believe we're honoring the Lord with our eyes, with our heart, with our mind, with our ears. But two, that stuff is not getting inside of us because it will corrupt. It will decay. It will black you out. It will gray you out. It will numb you. And you don't want that. So this morning, let's exercise the wisdom that we already know, which is that, what the psalmist says. I can't recall which psalm it was, but he says, "I will set no vile thing before my eyes." And when you hear vile, you might go to the extreme, but vile is anything that's going to take you further from God, not bring you closer to him. So I would examine your life, look at what's going into your eyes and your ears, examine what's coming out of your mouth, and figure out if maybe you've got an issue here. But I would argue that we could all do a little better job of keeping our heart diligently. Amen? All right, guys, thanks so much for joining. We will see you tomorrow for another day of morning wisdom. God bless.